Welcome to the program. My name is Vince Nigro. On Insights today, Manuel DaCosta, chairman of the Portuguese Canadian Walk of Fame. We chat about why he started the Walk of Fame, his vision behind it, who's on this year, a whole host of information about the Canadian Portuguese Walk of Fame. Manuel DaCosta on the program. Manuel DaCosta, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mr. Nigro. It's a pleasure to be on your program finally.
Finally, eh?
It's been going on for a long time. I was getting concerned that, because I'm not a doctor or somebody like that, that I wouldn't be able to get invited.
No, but because you're the cream of the cream, I had to practice my trade. I had to build up to having you on the program so that we could have you at a level that I can communicate with you.
Well, I hope that the build-up was worth waiting for, if I don't build it up enough, I'm sure you'll tell me.
Yeah, and we'd like to have you back on. There's a lot of things we can talk about with a lot of the stuff you do, your platforms. But the one platform or the one project that I want to talk about in this program is the Portuguese Canadian Walk of Fame. Um, that was launched in 2013, give or take. Just bring us back, Manny, to your thought process. You got these Walk of Fames everywhere. You've got the Canadian Walk of Fame. All these athletes give up. The ethnic communities are started to have a little bit more. The Italian communities had one. What was your thought process prior to 2013? Was it something that was on the back of your mind, or what was your thought process on the Walk of Fame?
I just felt that the common man, common woman that's out there doing good stuff for the community and the world. They just people kind of assume that it's part of a regular life of people that decide to be philanthropists or volunteers, and that was a normal way of doing business and doing things. When in fact, a very, very small percentage of the population do this kind of work and never get recognized. And I felt that in my very small way that having being a volunteer and working in other areas, and it's not that I wanted personally to get recognized, but I always thought, why don't these people that go unknown for their entire lives without being recognized, why can't there be a vehicle that will actually highlight who they are, what they've done, how they contributed to change the world a little bit, and why don't we have a place for them, for what you would call the cream of the crop, as chosen by the community?
Yeah, in 2013 when it was launched, and I helped you out a little bit on some of the stuff, but you were the founder and the visionary behind it all. Um, it started out gradually, 1 year at a time. You tried to cover it in terms of philanthropy, business, entertainment, and in that first year we had Michael Nobrega, Nelly Furtado, and Antonio Souza.
Yes.
That first year was the kickoff. And in the last 3-4 years, the Portuguese community, we had the big celebrations, the 70th anniversary and things of that nature. A lot of the people came over from Portugal and at City Hall. And they're one-off events, but the Walk of Fame is something that you've continued to build it since 2013. And when you look at the amount of people, and we'll talk about this year's inductees a little bit, when you talk about the cross-section, from judges to politicians to entertainment, it's quite an interesting cross-section since 2013 that you selected for the Walk of Fame.
And that's the point, Vince. I think most Walk of Fame, as you know, they focus on certain types of people, singers, artists from the theater or from movies or TV, because that's easy enough to identify, right? I mean,
Good.
you pick a TV star or whatever from Italy or from whatever. Most of these people don't even live in the country that they have their stars in. I mean, if you look at the Italian Walk of Fame. I mean, a lot of those stars don't even live here.
Yeah.
They're imported from outside and placed there.
Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
more of a globalist thing.
It's a globalist thing. And you look at Hollywood, the same thing. They put the Walk of Fame. But when you look at a true people's, Walk of Fame, to me, I wasn't aware of any other.
Right.
And where you take a person who can't sing or dance or whatever, but can give a hug to a person in need, and you recognize them the same way as if they were a big star out there, Frank Sinatra or whatever. And that's the point. This is why it's unique. I haven't seen one quite like it, and there's a cross section of everyone there, and that's the point.
And what you've done too is 7, 8 years ago, you also created the builders category where a lot of people, a lot of these Walk of Fames, they have just individuals, but especially with the Portuguese community, there has been a lot of areas that people have helped build this country.
Right.
And from the first postman to the first Portuguese teacher to this year, you're celebrating the 60th birthday of the first Portuguese Cultural Center. So having that visionary to also, aside from individuals, builders, people that have had some impact that have passed away, which was a genuine great touch to the whole Walk of Fame.
Absolutely. I'm a Canadian man, as you know. I mean, I've been here for over 50 years. So I'm in Canada. I live in Canada, but it doesn't take away from the fact that there's a recognition that for 70 somewhat years, the Portuguese have been here. They have an history of coming to Canada as they've also immigrated to other countries, but we're in Canada. We focus on Canada, and we want to honor the people that came to Canada. We all know the stories of the first immigrants, what
Right.
their adventures and what they suffer, and so on and so forth. So when you take an Antonio Souza or a Branca Gomez, the first teacher, we're in a room where she probably taught Portuguese in those very very early years. So there's history there, and this history, unfortunately, is not necessarily recognized by the countries where they came from. They couldn't care less. If somebody told them these names, they probably wouldn't recognize them at all. And so, how are they going to get the historic recognition of what they contributed to build this country, this community? The spreading of the language, spreading of businesses, opening up successful business, creating employment for Portuguese, helping the first immigrants that arrived, guide them through along the long highway. They deserve recognition. After all, it's like anything else. You plant seeds for the others
Of course.
that will come along, and those seeds that have germinated and they've had results. A lot of people don't even know where these seeds came from.
Yeah, and picking up on that point, a lot of these Walk of Fames, they put them on the street level where people walk all over them, and you really can't see them. You had a vision to put them up on a wall, and at 722 College, at the corner of College and Crawford in Toronto, is where the Portuguese Canadian Walk of Fame is, and it's a wall, and it's when you look at it, as opposed to looking down on the ground, it's more reflective of your vision. Talk to us a little bit how you came up with that. Was that something along the lines of what you wanted to see more of an easier way to pay tribute to those folks that are on that wall?
I always, Vince, in looking at Walk of Fames, like Hollywood or the Italian one and so on, you see the results of, yes, of
Right.
course, there's a plaque engraved in cement, or there's a piece of marble in there, and I see people walking over 'em. People throwing garbage over them. Those plaques not being taken care of. They're cracked. They're damaged, etc., etc. People are walking over them with dirty shoes, and for me, it was a psychological thing. No, I'm not going to put people's faces on a sidewalk for people to walk over them with dirty shoes. I want to to elevate them to a place that people can actually look at them,
Okay.
look at their faces, and see them in a humane, in a proper way that we can, that would be the best way to honor them. And really, for me, it was more of a psychological thing that I just didn't want to put them on a sidewalk where people put garbage
Right.
all over them.
Right. And the Walk of Fame, the Portuguese Walk of Fame since 2013 has evolved, has developed, and still, like every other community, people have heard of it, people have not heard of it. And your theory and your rationale was also there are a lot of people in the community that have done good that are unsung heroes. And you've set up a process. If someone is watching the program, they say, "Wow, I didn't know that there was a Portuguese Canadian Walk of Fame, and I know someone that should be considered for the Walk of Fame." Talk to us a little bit how one gets on to be someone that's on the Walk of Fame.
Well, this is a community process. I mean, we have a board of directors, obviously, that makes the decision at the end on process and procedure. But we are not the people who necessarily choose the. We have to do our due
There's a
diligence,
process involved.
due diligence of the people that are
Right.
nominated. And then if there's some issue with someone, of course, we're not gonna put that person there because we want to keep it in a fairly culturally pure aspect on the actions that those individuals have carried out throughout their lives, on behalf of society. But there is a process, and anybody can vote for someone or nominate someone to go into the Walk of Fame, and everybody is considered the same way. Some people have a lot more votes, some people have one, some people have two, and of course each year it accumulates, and to the point that over 2, 3, 4, 5 years, we may say, listen, this person has already 10, 15 votes. I think we should put him on the list for consideration. And I think that's fair enough. Um, but the thing is, Vince, over the years, over the 15 years, this 15th year, 2013. So, um,
Well, COVID, we
yeah,
put a break on
no,
COVID a
right.
couple of
So
years.
let's say it's 13 years. We have had, as you suggested before, a huge variety of backgrounds and people that are on the Walk of Fame. And we haven't been above a lot of criticism for some of the people that we have that are there. I mean, what people don't understand is that they judge people's quality based on their perception of that person, and not necessarily that they know that person. I mean, I just had a text yesterday that said, "Who is this Maria Barcelos? Who is this Alvito Silva? What has he done, or what he hasn't done, or what has this person done or not done?" And what I say to those people is very simple. If you are going to literally just read a small biography about a person, that, okay, he's a restaurateur, he does nothing else. That's the wrong way
Right.
to
Well,
look
look at
at the life.
right.
The life of an entrepreneur like Albino, who has dedicated a lifetime to the expansion of Portuguese culinary arts in North America,
Yeah.
and that alone have brought thousands of people into the Portuguese community, not only to eat at his restaurants, but then to try others.
Yeah, I was going to talk to you a little bit about this year's inductees. So you mentioned Albino, and obviously you mentioned Maria Barcelos. It's interesting because I background check on her and talk to her a little bit, whatever, is where I think she's an unsung hero because, man, she has saved so many lives. Of course. Right. Over the last 10 to 15 years, an unsung hero. Like we're talking human life and people that had problems speaking the language. She was able to communicate in Portuguese or Spanish, English, but the lives she saved is phenomenal. And
And this is what I say, that we don't save people with just money,
right,
or with just We save people sometimes with words, by talking to them, by helping them see, by making them understand, and so on. When somebody has mental health issues and they seek help, it's one of the toughest jobs in the world to get a person who's about to commit suicide to want to live. Now, let's consider a transition like that. How many people have the compassion and the talent that they can take a troubled person like that, and to, especially in these days with young people, and completely turn that person around to want to live, to want to contribute to society, to want to understand why they're the way they are and what they can do to resolve their issues. That's what I call compassion, and that's what I call
Sure.
contributing to the community.
Yeah. You mentioned Albino briefly. I just want to share with you my take on him is that he is a rock star in that culinary community, highlighted with the Portuguese community because there's a lot of folks that are in those industries that look at a guy like Albino with a success, whether it's on TV, magazines. He's had a tremendous background and a tremendous success, and people look up to those people, and we have to highlight those people, especially in the Portuguese community, to say, you know what, I want to be a chef, I want to own a restaurant. If Albino can do it, I have the opportunity to do that.
Look, I look at heroes in a very particular way. I don't look at heroes with people who have wings and fly and they go and save the world. I look at heroes who contribute a little bit in their corner, because and they're able to execute
Right.
something that others would never take the effort to do, and to achieve the results that
Right.
they visualize for themselves. And Albino, I think, is a very complete individual in that aspect. He's not out there. He's a shy man in a in a
Humble,
way,
very humble.
a hell of an entrepreneur, but he's a shy man who would never want recognition for giving something to someone.
Right.
And between you and I mean, we took quite a bit of convincing him to accept this honor, and that shows how humble the man is,
Right.
and probably a little bit
Right.
misunderstood.
And yeah, I'd be remiss not to bring it up, but rounding out this 2025 class of inductees is Joe Stecchio. And Joe as well, someone who's been in the community for a great many years, contributed. The Acapo is the one that comes up. He's now, the parade is always kind of synonymous with Joe Stecchio. He rounds out the Walk of Fame for 2025. Albino, Maria, and Joe Stecchio.
And Joe Stock was another special case in the community where there's the two sides of Joe Stacchio. I mean, he likes to tell the story. Oh, when I'm with the cop, I'm one person, and I'm another person, totally different. I say, no, well, actually, the way I see it, we're only one person with different roles, but the roles are intertwined because everything that comes out of us comes out one brain, not two brains. But is a controversial individual. There's no question about that, and he's controversial because he speaks his mind as he understands the world. Okay, and as you know, when we speak our mind as we understand the world, and are not necessarily a compromising person in necessarily accepting how other people see the world, we're going to create certain controversies in how people look at us, and perhaps a little bit self-centered and but strong ideas. He's got strong ideas on who he is, what he wants to do, and what he does. Now, I we got to be able to separate certain
Of course.
aspects one from the
Yeah.
other. I look at the historical contribution of his uh, the way he's treated a couple, the way he's treated culture with a couple. Over 25 years or longer that he's been involved in these organizations, year after year after year, some better, some worse. Culture varies. Culture
Yeah.
comes, what's culture and where does it come from? And, he's been treating culture as he sees it. It's not necessarily the way I see it, but is at
It's
least
definitely had an impact on the community as a whole,
is
for sure.
is
Yeah.
believed on what
Yeah,
he believes.
absolutely. And like you said, listen, at the end of the day, we all know that you can't keep everybody happy. The committee, I believe, does the best open concept, due diligence on everybody, trying to cover the community, but building it up. At the end of the day, the Walk of Fame really symbolizes the community. Let them look and say, wow, there are great people within the community that have helped build this country. And there's future people coming up that can look to those people.
And hopefully, Vince, picking up on that, people will go to the wall
Yeah.
and look at a Joe Eustachio and says, "Okay, I've heard whatever I've heard, and it's ingrained in my head, and I either like him or I don't, or whatever. But why don't I explore a little bit more in depth what it is that the man is about and what he's done?"
Of course.
And that's what it's about.
Of course. And, the wall. So this year's induction ceremony is Saturday, May 31st at 722 College. And if folks can't make it, if they can come down, it's 3 o'clock, give or take, a ceremony. If they can't, there's a website that folks can go, whether they've heard of the Walk of Fame or have not, get a true sense, an overall sense of what the Walk of Fame is all about. And a lot of the past people that have been inducted into the Walk of Fame by going to the website.
Absolutely, everything is in the website, and uh, I hope this encourages other people in the community to start thinking for next year who they would love to see there, and start the nominations, and perhaps the people that you look up to and that have made a difference in your life ends up there. And
Right.
before we forget, let's not forget the first Portuguese that have had a huge
Huge
impact
impact on the
in
community.
history of this community. They still exist at 60 Caledonia Road, and they started in this building. And as builders, I don't believe that there's been very many organizations that have sustained 60 years of existence and continue to provide the services that people are looking for.
Manny, thanks for being on the show for the first time. The topic is a topic well deserved and well spoken about, and hopefully we'll get you to come back on some future programs and talk a little bit more about some of the other platforms that you're involved in and how they're going. Of
Well, the topic is near and dear to our heart,
course.
yours and mine. I mean, we've been together from the start. I mean, you've been an integral part of making this happen, and along with the other members, but you and I especially have been behind this thing all the time, the whole year. I mean, that's a whole year planning, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank
And hopefully, we have enough strength to
We'll keep
continue
it.
for a few more years.
Manny, thanks for being on the program, and we'll see you on the 31st, if not sooner.
Thank you, Mr. Negro.